What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi with my man Jake Rohde. We are going to be talking through week 14 of the NFL slate, and we got our Rohde. Our boy is going to be out of the FanDuel final. Like, let's go, man! That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. We fly out tomorrow night, so or tomorrow afternoon, actually. So it's gonna be a good time, out there. Can't wait. Looks like a good event. We'll get to go to the Rams and Cardinals game on Monday night. So hoping everyone's healthy for that, and it's a good game. So
Arizona, I have a guy who I used to be friendly with. I taught him about DFS, who lives out there and who works for FanDuel VIP. So I'll have to tell him to stop by and say hello. But we're excited. We're all pulling for you at TrueDFS, and we want you to take something down. So that would be a nice gift for all of us. What's the first 500,000?
500,000. Yep.
That'll do. Donkey.
Only 75 people in this one, so I got to beat 74 other tickets.
Let's go, bro. 75 people. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, that's a small one. So I don't know.
Oh, that's kind of amazing. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Probably. I'm sure that the payout's very top heavy, but that's the way FanDuel does it. So. All right, well, we're going to talk through the slate, maybe get some ideas without Rohde giving away too much of his information, but it's early in the week, so there's not enough you could even give out if you wanted to. This is a wild week. I mean, we've had wild weeks. We've had a lot of guys. I mean, I think that every week it's been increasing. I think there was 11 guys on Monday who had the COVID thing. Then they had another 5 on Tuesday, then another 3 on Wednesday. It's just and these are all guys who are significant. I mean, offensive players for the most part who have been that, COVID or COVID protocol or whatever. So just, we're going to have to do the best we can with what we've got right off the bat. And it's going to make it hard because you already see the line in the Charger game has been dropping because we don't know what's going to happen or who they're going to have at receiver. What games are you targeting this week? I did a show with Sheets. I don't have a whole bunch of different takes, but it's going to depend on a bunch of different things what I do. What about you?
Yeah, we're really early on the Chargers. They had a big team total too at 26.5 here. It still shows. That's a tough game to figure out right now. So we really can't. We got other games we can't figure out with no totals right now. We got the KC game. I mean, they're always a solid team, right?
Yep.
I think ownership might
historically they've been a solid team. They haven't been scoring any points lately, but this week I think
they haven't been. Tyreek Hill looks like he might be coming in low on, but he's pretty expensive on DK. Might be able to go there. QB options, we got some weird ones, Taysom Hill's cheap against the Jets. We know how the Jets defenses looked lately. That's been like getting torched. I do like Herbert's price though, so hoping we get some weapons to pair with him. Dak's at 6-7 against Washington. Their defense has been better. And Dak's kind of been up and down for fantasy score, but it's a good producer. 6-6 at Russell Wilson. Is he ever going to become anything? Cam Newton again at 5-4 this week against Atlanta. Oh man, these quarterbacks at the top, man. You're gonna have to help me pick one, Bobby, because this is brutal.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me because I really think there's a good argument to fade all these cheap guys. The problem is I like spending down at quarterback unless I can get the rushing upside of a top level guy. So my natural guy would be Josh Allen in the Buffalo Tampa Bay game. Or even Mahomes, he's the one exception I make. And I actually think this is the first time I felt in a while that the Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill stack is viable, and you're going to be able to do it because there's going to be value out there regardless. And maybe you don't like the value, but Jalen Guyton is 3,400. You know what I mean? You're going to have some guys you can fit in around these guys that are going to make things work. So I really like the Buffalo Tampa Bay game is the obvious one I like, but at the same time, what ownership can we get on these guys? Like, let's take a quick look because, that's what is going to dictate a lot. I love the Allen to Diggs. That makes the most sense to me. Actually, this is a great Cole Beasley spot. And the thing that scares me though about all these guys is that my touchdown call of the week and our buddy cashed in on he said, hey, who's your long shot touchdown bet? And I said Gabriel Davis first touchdown. Let's go. So that was a nice little hit, but he's sort of coming into his own and he's a really talented kid. And literally the way they talk about him is like he's the next stud. I don't think they really think that, but Emmanuel Sanders said earlier he's going to be one of the best 5 receivers in the NFL in 2 years. There's just a lot of that stuff, but I do like the tough matchup for Tampa Bay, but they're going to sling it around. And these guys are not going to be owned. So I actually think Mike Evans might be the preferred guy would be Godwin, but it depends on where they line them up because you have the great corners out there. So I don't know. I think the fact that Godwin's in the slot, I really like those stacks anyway. But for me, that's where I am. Tampa Bay, Buffalo. I've just been around long enough. The Vegas and the Chargers and the Chiefs games just tend to go completely nuts. I really like a double tight end stack of Kelsey and Waller, assuming that Waller plays. So I like that. That's how you get that stack going. I like the Cincinnati San Francisco game a ton. I want to see how healthy Burrow is before I do anything. His finger clearly bothered him last week while they were playing. And you see there's no line still in that game. I'm sure there's lines some places, but we don't have one right here. And I shout out to Roto Grinders HQ, but those are my favorite games is the KC Vegas, the Buffalo Tampa Bay. I do think the Chargers one is going to be interesting. And if they really are missing everybody, maybe the game could stay closer. The problem is it's just so hard to see whether it be Mike Lennon or Jake Fromm moving the ball. But we know what running backs can do. So Saquon seems like a very good play to me. That's a game stack that I'm looking at. And then the Dallas Washington game. So those are my main ones. Quarterback wise, though, you could actually play your game stacks this week and play a cheaper quarterback. Now I think Taysom Hill sucks. Like I really do. I think he's a poor man's old school version of Tebow. I really think he's like the worst version of that. The problem is he's going to put up fantasy points just by nature. He's going to run the ball a bunch of times. The only question is, do you think like what if he throws 2 picks early and they're down 10? Does he even stay in the game? And Cam Newton, I have the same question. Are we sure these guys play the whole game? Like I'm not. Taylor Heineke feels a little thin to play. I like Heineke actually in real life as a quarterback. Feels a little thin on Bridgewater. So I would rather be looking to spend up for my quarterbacks this week, which I hate saying just like flatly like that, but that's what I'm probably going to do. The one guy in the low end who can't imagine his ownership stays like this, Joe Burrow could go nuts, and he's 6K. So I think he's my favorite. He's just barely above these other guys price wise, right? So who else for quarterbacks do you like? I know you mentioned it in relation to the stacks, but who do you like at quarterback? Maybe somebody off. I mean, one guy who's off the board. Sorry, one last guy I have to mention. What about pivoting off of all those guys? And finally, can we maybe get a game out of Trevor Lawrence? If there was a matchup to do it, I actually think Tennessee's defense, even though it's been good this season, I think they're still weak on the back end, weaker than people think. And they're going to be slinging the ball. So that's an interesting pivot off those guys. But who are you looking at quarterback wise? If you're looking, I actually think you can play quarterbacks without a stack this week. Go ahead.
Yeah. And if you want to go that route, one guy, that if you really want to get a weird, I mean, Lamar Jackson's got lower ownership. He's kind of coming in there fantasy point wise, only at 7.4. I mean, he's been priced up around the 8K ranges a lot this year, right?
We've seen him at 9K before.
Yeah, so starting to come down. Yeah, he was 8K for a few weeks, 7.8. Now down to 7.4. So we've seen him high. He's lowest he's going to be here. He does have 40-point upside, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure against Cleveland. Cleveland has a decent defense, but they've struggled at times. And if Lamar's going to be running around away from Myles Garrett and stuff, he could be an option. And hitting the tight end Anderson across the middle. Don't mind pairing him up with that guy. That kind of works,
I love that. I love that call, actually. I think that he's a really good Lamar Jackson at 7,400 and no ownership. And even against a good D line, you know that means? That means they get after the quarterback and the quarterback then can run. You know what I mean? It's not like it's a bad thing for a guy like Jackson, right?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Exactly. Right. What you just pointed out. That's not a bad thing for a running quarterback like that.
Yeah.
So that was a good point. And I don't really have it. You named a lot of the good quarterbacks, I'd say. It's going to be a decision you guys are going to have to make, whether you want to pay down and look at these guys Bobby just mentioned, all these Taysom Hill, Cam Newton, Taylor Heineke guys, even Joe Burrow in that category, or you guys want to go with like the Mahomes, get up to Lamar Jackson, Tom Brady at 7.6 even is in there, Josh Allen 7.8, so some of the, where do you want to go? How you want your builds to look, is a really big factor. Can some of these guys at 5-6K get you 30 plus points?
Yep.
So
that's what I'm talking. And even if the guys in the 5K range, I'm okay with them getting me 20. I just feel like that there is a bus path for all of them, and because they're all going to be so popular, and Josh Allen's really the only one coming in at double-digit ownership who's not in that range. It has me interested, and I really like if people are skeptical of the Burrow's a go, pretty much a must win. I love the idea of playing Burrow at 6K. You're barely paying more from these other guys. We know Burrow has a massive ceiling, has the rushing upside as well, and he has receivers we want to target him with. And you have great run backs on the San Francisco side, even with Debo coming back. So I think that's a really good spot. That's what I would say would be one of my favorites. Let's switch over to running back here. My favorite is going to be the most popular play. I understand it. So I'll do my thing real quick and then I'll go through yours. I just am going to go ahead or below. I will be below the field on Javonte Williams, assuming that Melvin Gordon is still questionable, right? If he's out, then we can play just Javonte Williams everywhere. If he's not, I don't, let me double check. Yeah, I think he's still questionable.
Yeah.
So if he's in, I'm happy to fade Javonte Williams. Again, I like that San Francisco game, but I don't think you necessarily need to play Mitchell on the. I think Ayuk, even with Debo coming back and Kittle, makes sense. Again, a double tight end might be a route that I go this week. We would have worked great last week, by the way. I almost had the Goddard thing. I just switched to Mitchell at the last minute because my lineup was too good. But I had the Goddard and Kittle in one lineup, and I was like, that was what, 80 something points between the two of those guys alone. But I would just say, yeah, for the high owned guys, I'll be below the field on Fournette. I'll be below the field on. I like Josh Jacobs this week. It's just a little higher ownership than I would really want to get there. I'll be well above the field on Austin Eckler. I know he's expensive, but especially if those receivers are out, I just feel like he's going to go nuts in this game. I'll be ahead of the field on Mixon. I'll be below the field on Patterson. I'll be below the field on Edwards-Helaire. I'll be above the field on Kamara. I'll be above the field on Saquon. And then you get into the weird plays. I think that there's an argument to be made for both Cleveland running backs. And I think there's an argument to be made for some of these other, similar pivots. I don't love James Robinson, but if you're going to talk about his ownership versus a guy like Gibson or Barkley or Jacobs or all these guys, there's no reason why James Robinson couldn't have a bigger game than those guys. Kareem Hunt also comes into the mix. DeAndre Swift. Those are the guys I'm looking at for my long shot plays. Who are you looking at?
Well, you named quite a few guys there.
No, but you can include the guys I named. I'm just trying to get your take. I'm just giving my take, and then I want to hear what you think.
No, I like a lot of the same guys or same idea that you have with how to be with the players. Usually with Fournette, like you said, you're going to be under with him getting that much ownership. I tend to always be under on that when he gets that high. But when he earlier in the year when he was lower ownership, I tend to play him a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I had a big week when I had him in that 1 week when he was lower owned. So you kind of got to watch that in your guys' builds when you're playing these guys. Like I love Eckler. He's kind of mid-level ownership. Gibson did have that decent week last week. I think he had to 20, right?
Yeah. He had to 22.
22 last week. He's had 2 games of 20. Gibson's been looking really good for Washington. Dallas hasn't been the stout defense we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
That could be he's a high ownership though. So that's kind of 10. Oh, man, for 6K though. Sometimes you got to eat the ownership somewhere.
Yep.
And running back's been tough because you usually have your bell cow backs. Kind of mixed backs. I mean, Mixon's a real good play. Eckler's a bell cow. Barkley at 6K is a really good one. I don't know why he's only getting 11%. I kind of like him more best. If I do a Charger stack, I think he's my premier run back.
Absolutely.
Like
I have another run back for you in that game that we'll get to in a couple positions, but
yeah. So right there, I think we got Swift still questionable. I like Kamara. He hasn't done much this week, this year. He's going against the Jets. I think he's coming back. He's getting a little ownership. He's cheap though.
Not that much ownership considering that's been the worst run defense in football.
Yep.
Theoretically, the Saints should be able to control this game. And Kamara is like, he just is fast. It's worse for him that Taysom Hill is the quarterback. That's the truth. But it's not so much where I really feel like at this price, if you put this matchup in week 2 or week 1, you'd be seeing Kamara at like 35%. I really believe that.
Yeah, for sure. I do agree though. I do feel like he's getting it's worse with Taysom doing some running too on those RPO style or, run pass options a lot going on.
Yeah.
So, I see some other running backs down here. Chubb's down there pretty far.
Yep. What about Chubb and Hunt? Because we've seen at moments, and I this is one of the times Baltimore has given up some monster games on the ground this season. They've also been really, really good against some good running backs. So it's kind of hard to figure out what to do. But if everybody wants to play Fournette, which is kind of a tricky fade, even though I'm going to fade him, it's kind of a tricky fade because of how much work Brady's been giving him through the air. But at the same time, like Buffalo's run defense, other than the 1 week against Indy, they're a really good run defense. So why wouldn't I switch down and play, against a Chubb type of guy against maybe worse spot? He's sharing carries somewhat with what's his name with Hunt. But there's certainly a path that they're going to try to run the ball in that game. And Chubb with 20 plus touches in this matchup, I feel like is strong enough as a pivot to maybe take really seriously. Anything?
Yeah, for sure. Who do they play? That they play
in Baltimore.
why does he have? Hunt, if you click on Hunt, he has stats in for that game already. What? No,
What?
that was their game earlier. They played twice already.
They should have only played once already. I don't know why they would show up as twice.
I'm not seeing the.
They had the one oh that's weird. I
Yeah,
don't know
something's
what
wrong. Regardless, something's wrong.
it's just a glitch, just a glitch, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not looking into that, but all right. So yeah, I mean Hunt getting some work though. I think
That's
that's why
right.
Chubb
They did just
projects him.
play. That's accurate. Accurate actually. They actually did just play.
Did
Remember they played the horrible game on Sunday night.
Oh.
It was a
Oh
horrible
yeah,
game.
yeah. The one I just literally shut my laptop.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to bed.
It was hard to watch.
You're
But
right.
you know, we see this all the time in sports, and it happens in basketball more than anything. But you see these really low scoring, ugly games, and the next time they play, it's like 40-35. Like it's like, okay, overcorrections, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, that's definitely like there's a lot of good options. I don't think you need to go with just the pure chalk. Last week was a great example. You know, Jonathan Taylor, even if Jonathan Taylor got to like 35 last week, it wasn't going to make a difference. Like if you're getting a really expensive guy who's going to be really chalky, I just think you're better off fading it. Yeah, if Kamara will occasionally, you're occasionally going to get that Fournette game at 45 or something like that. But that's just like, that's a once a season type of thing. I don't feel like that's going to happen against Buffalo here. So I would just rather avoid some of the chalkier guys and use the pivots that I mentioned. Be overweight on the cheap guys who I really like, who are going to get all the work, like Gibson, Saquon. Those guys would be my strategy. All right, let's talk about wide receivers. Why don't you start us off with some of the guys you're looking at? And I know it's going to be in stacks and all that stuff, but I mean, it's hard to ignore that. I mean, we have Jalen Guyton and Mike Williams look like absolutely incredible values. We don't know if Mike Williams is going to play, which is going to open things up for the rest of the Chargers receiving core and potentially the tight end, which might force me to play Jared Cook, which I sort of I've been saying over and over again, do not play Jared Cook. It's a mistake. He doesn't ever put up a game because Parham gets every bit as much work as he does. Like
Parham almost got a touchdown the other day too.
I know, I saw that. They ran the play for him. But why don't you talk about some of the receivers that you like that maybe are outside of stacks or in the stacks that you like?
Yeah, going down the list just based on price to the receiver for projection. You see guys like DK Metcalf sneaking in there at 6.5K. You know, that against Houston. Now we're not talking about Russell. I mean, he hasn't looked good. DK hasn't looked good. They've been talking about getting him the ball. His price keeps dropping or staying in the mid 600. That guy has 30-point upside, in my opinion. He just hasn't shown it. So if you guys want to take a chance there, MME at 8% ownership, I mean, keep giving him a look. Tyler
Lockett as well, because Lockett actually has gotten the work lately.
Yeah, Lockett at 6-7 right there. He's been getting the work. I know they've been talking about feeding him the ball. We don't want to ever listen to all that stuff for DK. But, I mean, Lockett or DK, I like that stack. I've used to stack both of them. I don't mind that. You know, Diggs is right there too. He's getting a little bit ownership. You talked about Beasley right there in that same game that we like, 10% ownership. You know, Galladay only at 4.8 though. I didn't realize his price was down pretty far.
Yeah.
You know, we talked Saquon in that stack run back. You know, another guy, Brandon Cooks in that Seattle game.
Yep.
Kind of hate going there, but I mean, these guys are some value based on projections. You know, if you want your ceiling guys, you're gonna look for like a Diggs, a Hill, Godwin, Debo at 8K. You know, is he officially back? Good to go this week?
That's the word we've got right now, but I don't have it.
I don't have a questionable tag on him. That's why I was wondering.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's good to go. And
okay.
And for what it's worth, I still really like. I'm just going to keep taking shots with Ayuk. It doesn't matter to me. There's so much talent there, and honestly, you could argue in some ways maybe Debo being on the field actually helps Ayuk in certain ways, because he draws. So
I've been for some more receivers. I've been really heavy on the Cincy receivers. I know we talked Burrow. He got hurt. Like Chase is an explosive receiver. His price is actually coming down in the sixes now. You know, you got Evans at 6.6 off of Godwin. You got CeeDee Lamb there at 7.2, which I always like. T. Higgins price is coming up, but he's been workhorse. If I played T. Higgins last week over Chase, I would have been having a really good day.
I did play T. Higgins over Chase, and I had an okay day, but it wasn't like
I had the other parts right. I just didn't have the Cincy part right last week.
I like all the Cincy receivers this week as well, and it's pretty clear when there's a pass rush and they try and get after Burrow that he does feel safer with. I mean, last week they were missing two of their linemen last week. Okay,
so Boyd and Higgins look good across the middle more.
Exactly,
getting some dump offs. So
yeah.
I think I talked myself into Chase more at that lower ownership.
Yeah.
Elijah Moore's been popping at his price up to 5.9, but we talked like he's getting some ownership. I don't know if you want to go there. I'd say no, probably at that ownership. Guyton's there cheap. He's a high owned, so those are some of the guys. I was like Gallup in that same game at 5%, 5.5.
So what about that Dallas receiving thing? Because if Amari is back and good to go, isn't he sort of just like the easiest play of all time? 59.
Yeah, 5.9. I really think you can take a shot. Low ownership on all those guys. I like CeeDee Lamb, Gallup, and Cooper have always been some of my favorite receivers to play.
Mm-hmm.
I played a lot of all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly Gallup because he's cheap, but CeeDee's very explosive, and Cooper is explosive too. Like I love playing Cooper back in the day, and at 5.9, you definitely can get some exposure. I mean, Dak loves to throw to Cooper, so that's an easy play at 4% ownership. I think you guys should get some of that too. So.
Yep. And we had the limited game from Cooper because he wasn't playing that many snaps and he wasn't healthy. But I think this is a week where if we believe he's a full go, this is just sort of a ridiculous price. And they need to keep winning games. It's a division game too for, that actually still matters. So I actually think these Dallas receivers are really an interesting low owned spot to attack this week. And it's not like Washington's defense. Look, they've looked good lately, but they've had some pretty beneficial schedule stuff. I love the CD play. And it's a good run back with Gibson. I love the Cooper play as a run back with Gibson. All of that. My receiver, I'll just do my thing for I'll be overweight on Guyton. I'm a Guyton fan anyway. I've been saying forever. They run plays for this guy. They like him. They don't always hit, but with Herbert's arm strength and a defense that occasionally can just over gamble, give up big plays, I like that spot. I really like DJ Moore, but the ownership is probably going to force me to do something that I can't believe I'm even going to talk about on this slate, but I might take a look at Robbie Anderson again. Ugh.
Oh,
I might take a look.
I thought we were done with him, Bobby.
And we're done with him. Then he goes and gets 2 touchdowns. I don't know what the hell to do.
I know. I didn't even want to think about that.
It's just the high ownership and the fact that there's at least I don't know, and he's 4,300. It's an extra value play if you wanted to go with that heavy Chief stack. That's why I thought of it. But I like the digs. I'll be overweight on the top 3 guys. I'll be underweight on Judy. First week, I'm going to be underweight on Judy probably this whole season. So if he beats me, he beats me. I'm going to probably be underweight on Cooks, even though I like him. I'm going to be underweight on Renfro, even though he's fine. I'll go the Waller route. That would be the route I would choose. Jarvis Landry, I'll probably be under, but not too far under. I think he's going to get enough targets where he's going to be viable. I'm going to be over on Higgins, over on Mike Williams. Elijah Moore is the one I really don't know what to do with because I do think he's coming into his own. And I like a thing that Sheets brought up on our show that I was going to mention, that I think it might be worth it to take a gamble on some of these New Orleans receivers who no one is going to play. Ty Montgomery, I guess he'll get a tiny bit of ownership. But Callaway would actually be my favorite here. And Traquan, it does feel very spread out, but it's like just a thing that I can't see anybody doing. Maybe it's a little too thin for this slate, but I sort of like the idea of getting some low ownership there. I like Chase. I'll be over on that. I'll be over on Beasley. I'll be over on Hill. I'll be over on Godwin. I'll be under. I can't play everybody. So I'll play Metcalf. I'm not going to probably play much McLaurin, even though I like him as a receiver a ton. Evans, I'll probably be under. I'll probably be under Debo. I'll probably be under Marquise Brown. I'll just focus on the other guys. But if I really like a guy, I'm going to probably be willing to eat some of the chalk. And there's plenty of ways to get off the board. And when Kelsey and Hill are 2 off the board plays, it just excites me. I just feel like, okay, here we go. And now we get to talk about my favorite position maybe of the week. I really think this could be a double tight end week. And there's a lot of routes you can go with it. I think double cheap with the 2 guys at the top, even if you play them both, no one's going to do that, right? Like nobody's going to play O'Shaughnessy and Hooper. So if you wanted to go really, really cheap and then spend up everywhere else, I think that's kind of an interesting route because it's just not what people are going to do. In general, Jacksonville has thrown the ball to their tight ends this season. Now, especially with Arnold, and they don't really have anybody else right now that they can go to that's a regular receiver. He still had 6 targets. It wasn't pretty last week, but it's worth a shot. Hooper is the only receiver now in Cleveland, and we know that Baker has to dump the ball offside. Those are my cheap guys, but I love the Kelsey, Waller, Kittle, and that's the reverse side of it. And then I also love my longer shot one, especially if you get Fromm as the quarterback. I'm going to have some Charger stacks, so I'm going to play Evan Ingram some. It sucks that Kyle Rudolph's there for nothing. It's not like Ingram's put up monster games, but as a safety valve, maybe you play him instead of Hooper. And he does have some upside here. And the Chargers have been overall this season, they've had some really, really monster performances against them by tight ends. So I like the tight end spot. I might double tight end it this week. Who are you looking at?
Yeah, I like that Ingram call. I've been on him a little bit this year. I think he's got a big ceiling. I felt like coming into the league, he was going to be one of these like, Waller type tight ends, but he just hasn't, he's had injuries. He hasn't really lived up to it, but I think it's there. Maybe we catch him on a good week at 3.5 where he goes for 20 plus. I don't know. I just don't think he gets the looks, but I mean, he's great for 3.5. You got Jared Cook at 3.2, stealing. The thing is, I kind of get tired of playing these cheap tight ends because of the ceiling, right? Like you see him have good games, that Foster Moreau had that 21 one week or 19, whatever it was. But like you see Kittle last week and Godare and like Waller, these guys have went out and caught like 10 balls.
Right.
Like those guys are elite when you're dropping 30 to 40 points.
Right.
Like that seriously sets you aside when you have a Travis Kelce for 32 points or a Kittle for, 40 points. Like you're gonna like be on the top of the leaderboard, so
right.
I love the ceilings on these guys, that we're talking about. But on the flip side, they're hard to fit in. Kittle's not projecting awful. I don't really have anything for him on ownership, but like RGV wise, you got the cheaper guys projecting better. Even Parham's getting some love today, but I just love that ceiling, the 20-point ceiling plus out of the Kittle, Waller, and Kelce. Gronk's looked real good too. Yeah, Gronk. He's just getting a ton of balls, guys. A ton of balls. Like Brady loves that guy. So like I see big ceilings with those top 4 I got for fantasy points if you sort by points there.
Yeah, and Gronk may have only played 6 games this season. We had the one against New Orleans where they didn't, whatever.
3 games at 20, basically at 20.
Basically just been a lot. We would take 20 points from tight ends. The only thing
actually one at 32. So I mean, he's got 6 games, four ceiling winning games for a tight end spot, I think.
Yeah. And you've got the monster upside of Kittle, and Cincinnati can get beat over the middle. I really like this Waller play though, especially with the Q tag. If he does play, I think this is a great spot to play him. Like he's had monster games against this team a number of times. The Chiefs give up plenty. I know we haven't had the ceiling game from Waller, but we know he's got it in him. We saw, I guess he had 19 targets against Baltimore and 10 catches. I think I really like that double tight end situation.
He's due for a ceiling game, man. Waller's just had some bad beats, I think.
Yeah, and as much as since KC may have improved defensively, I think we're maybe overrating it a little bit when you look at the competition. And the Raiders haven't looked great offensively, but they can certainly move the ball, and they get up for these Raiders Chiefs games are usually close and are usually high and tight. Like that's the way it goes. All right, let's talk about some defenses real quick because you're going to have incredible chalk on some defenses like Seattle, like Carolina. And I mean, the fact that you've got 3 teams that take up almost half of the ownership from the tight end spot, from the defense spot, just because the Browns had 4 picks against Lamar. That's not anything I need to have. So I specifically will probably just avoid these teams with the exception of maybe a little bit of Seattle, but I'll be under the field on all those top teams. I want to play some of the cheaper, the little bit cheaper ones. I don't mind an idea, and this is not the Russell Wilson you can't play a defense against anymore. I think you can play the Texans against them. That was a big win against a division rival last week at home. This is a different situation going on the road to Houston. They were going to try and put their best foot forward against that San Francisco team. I'm not sure where their head's at or what's going on with them in general to where you can't play them here. I like the Jets against New Orleans. I mean, we saw four picks from Taysom Hill the other day. Again, I don't think Taysom Hill is any good. So I don't mind that spot at all. Obviously, if you can pay up, the Saints make a lot of sense. Who are you looking at this week? And even the Giants, if the Chargers do lose all their receivers, I think are viable because Herbert will throw some away, even though I love Herbert in that stack also.
Yeah, I mean, you named a bunch of good ones, I think. I've been playing the Texans, I feel like, a lot this year. I feel like I should be paying up a little bit more, but I'm thinking there's going to be an explosive game out of Wilson one of these days, but he's not looked good. So 2.4K, you're going to need some savings. I take that. I don't mind your call against the what was it? The Seahawks, even on the other side at 3.1, and the Saints, obviously at 3.6 would be the best. So I'm seeing some Bengals pop up to the top. I know you like the 49ers. They've been playing pretty good, but 2.9K, I'm getting a little bit of good value based on the projection for that game, I think.
I like that call.
It does suck the Browns are 2.7 though. I would never game log, so I don't care that they just got 4 picks from Baltimore. But like Lamar hasn't looked the greatest either.
Oh, since the COVID stuff, he's looked like a totally different guy. And
Yeah, so like at 2.7, if you guys want to mix some of these defenses this week, I think it might be a good week to mix some of these in. You know, anywhere from that 2.4 to that 3.1 range. There's quite a bit of defenses that are viable. I think you can kind of mix in there. Even the Panthers against the Falcons they're very chalky.
They're very chalky. It's just a little too much chalk for me.
Yeah.
Even though I like the defense.
That's chalky, yeah.
Yeah.
Even
I actually think
Seahawks.
Atlanta on the other side is the way that I would go. They're just 2.9. That's something I would consider against the Carolina team.
You know, another defense I don't mind. The Titans haven't looked very good since lost all their weapons. Is AJ Brown's good to go? Is he or
Yep.
no?
Oh no, I'm sorry. AJ Brown's not good to go. Sorry.
Julio was right.
Julio, I'm double checking as of today. I mean, look, this stuff
I got Julio at 5.4 against Jacksonville this week.
I don't have Julio as in the projection of Rohde of the RG lineup HQ.
I have Derek Carty's up and he's in that, but I don't have Mike Williams, so we're a little backwards today on that projection. So
well, we'll see. I mean, we're just gonna have to wait and see, I guess. And you're not gonna Sunday morning, but I will be with you guys at 11:30 Eastern time. We are gonna get this figured out for you. All right, Rohde, let's finish it up with a couple of bold takes. Last week I didn't quite make my bold take. I did say that you're going to need a player from San Francisco and a player from Seattle. I was wrong about the player from Seattle. I was right about the player from San Francisco to win the GPP, which was Kittle, obviously. This week, I'm going to say that I think that the millionaire maker winners are going to have a Dallas receiver. And I think that one of Kelsey or Hill or both will be on the millionaire making winning lineup, potentially Waller in that game as well. So those are my sort of stands on what I want to try and target this week. How about you?
So for my $500 or $500K ticket, I should be stacking those from BobbyFi, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm going to do anyway. So whatever.
Well, I mean, I haven't looked at FanDuel pricing yet, so I don't want to talk about the FanDuel side of things.
Yeah.
For what I'm doing over there, but yeah. So I love that call. I'm seeing the Dallas ownership low. I've always liked Dallas. I've been playing a lot. I'm a big Elliott fan. He's coming in pretty low this week too, but I know he's not getting the workload anymore. So we really got to watch that. I love the KC game. I love my Chargers still, even with the cheaper guys. Stack those guys in, and we'll just wait on news, guys, and just hope that some of these plays we got already picked go nuclear. And I think we should have a good week again here.
Sounds good to me. Well,
we're gonna have to wait. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait for 11:30 on a lot more picks, I think, too.
Yeah,
there's gonna be a lot of news on that 11:30 show. I'm hoping I can join. I don't know. I'm not doing a lot of lineups because I'm gonna focus on my one.
Yep.
So I might be able to join, talk a little bit. So we'll
that would be awesome. I hope you can make it because find that stuff really helpful. And I think we've been pretty good on the days of, and we've had some good winners in there. We've had some good wins. I've had some nice weeks in a row. Not the huge win I've been looking for, but I think we've come across some really good plays throughout those conversations. And Rohde, we want from everybody at TrueDFS, we wish you all the luck in the world and safe travels and all that. Enjoy Arizona and win a freaking tournament, please.
Yeah, let's go
for me, man. If not, at least you know what? Then you can always win the showdown while you're at the game on Sunday night, right?
Yeah, I can win that. Yeah.
Why not? All right. Well, good luck, everybody. For Rohde, for everyone at TrueDFS, we hope you have another great week, and let's kill him in week 14.
Good, guys.